Look at your project list. How many things are you working on right now? The new offer that you're building, the website redesign, the new hire you're onboarding, marketing campaigns you're launching, the systems you're documenting. I bet you have at least 8 to 10 things in progress. That's what I see with most of our clients. And I bet most of them have been sitting there for weeks or months. They're like 60% done or 70 or 80% done, but not much is actually finished. Nothing shipped. Here's what's happening. You keep starting new things before finishing the old things, and you're spreading your energy across 12 projects, which means none of them get the focus they need to actually get done. And in this video, I'm going to show you why this kills progress and how to actually finish things instead of accumulating half-done projects. So let's get into it. So most founders are addicted to starting things. We all are. A new idea comes up, you get excited, you start working on it, you make progress for a few days, and then what happens is another idea shows up and you start that too, right? But you don't stop the first thing. So now you're splitting time between two projects. And then a third thing comes up and then a fourth, and before you know it, you have a dozen projects and they're all in progress. Starting feels productive, like you're doing something new, you're creating momentum, but starting isn't shipping, right? And if nothing ships, then nothing matters. The problem is context switching. So every time you jump between projects, you lose time rebuilding the context. You're thinking, okay, where was I at? What was I trying to do? You got to get back into it, right? You're spending half your time just getting oriented instead of actually moving things forward. And here's another thing. The last 20% of any project is actually the hardest part. The first 80% is fun, you're creating, you're building, but the last 20% is quite often the grind. You're polishing, you're fixing details, and you're making it actually practical and operationalizing it, right? So when you have 10 projects all at 80%, you're facing the hard part on all of them. So you avoid it by starting something new where you're in the fun part again. Now, unfinished projects don't make money. That's the problem. Why? Because they don't solve problems. They just sit there consuming your mental energy with zero return. So you've invested time and maybe money into all of these projects, but you're getting nothing back because none of them are out in the world working for you. And the opportunity cost is massive. Every hour you spend maintaining 12 half-done projects is an hour that you're not spending finishing the one thing that could be generating revenue. So if you look at all that spread out energy and you focus it on one project, you'd finish it in a week, most likely, right? But instead, you're spending it so thin that nothing moves fast enough to even matter. Plus, you're carrying the mental weight of 12 unfinished things, and that's exhausting because your brain is trying to track everything and it's crushing your ability to focus on any one thing. Now, here's the fix. You want to set a maximum number of projects that you can have active at any given time. For most founders, I would say that number is 3, right? Not projects that you're thinking about or planning, but projects that you're actively working on right now. One you're actively pushing forward, one you're making progress on when you have time, and then one that's waiting on something external or in maintenance modes and so on. But basically, you want to have no more than 3 active projects. And when something new comes up, you don't just add it and start working on it. You ask, okay, is this one more important than the stuff that I'm currently working on? And if yes, okay, then you stop one of your current projects and you start this one instead, right? But if no, then it just goes on the backlog and it's a future idea. You never have more than 3 things actively in progress. And so here's how you can start implementing this. Basically, you start by auditing what you have in progress right now. So you list every project that you started working on. You got to be honest about the status, right? Most of what you think is in progress is actually stalled. Like you haven't touched it in days or weeks. It's not active. You just haven't officially killed it yet. Now you pick the 3 that mattered the most. Which 3, if finished, would have the biggest impact on your business? And those stay active. Everything else either goes on the backlog, it gets killed, or it gets delegated. But only 3 can stay in your active work in progress. Then comes the hard part, okay? You got to finish one before starting another. You're going to have new ideas all the time. You're going to see new opportunities, but don't start them. Not until you finish one of your active projects and create space for the new one. You ship it, you launch it, you get it done, and then you can start something new. And this will force you to actually finish instead of endlessly starting new stuff. And here's what changes when you focus. The projects that were stuck for months suddenly get done in weeks because they're finally getting the real attention instead of scraps of time between everything else. And finished projects actually work for you. The new offer launches brings revenue. The systems get built and they save you time, right? The marketing campaign generates leads. Unfinished projects just consume energy. You don't get anything out of it. Finished projects create value. Your mental load drops too. You're tracking 3 things instead of 12. It's way, way easier, right? You can focus deeply instead of constantly feeling overwhelmed by everything that you need to finish. You know exactly what you're working on and what's next. But of course, when you start doing this, you're going to face the enforcement problem. So basically, here's how things can fall apart. You'll set your limit at 3 projects and you'll start making progress. But then something urgent will come up, or maybe you'll get excited about a new idea and you think, okay, I'll just add this one thing, it won't take long. But now you got 4 projects. And then you're going to add another thing, and now you got 5 projects, and then pretty soon you're back to 12. This limit only works if you actually enforce it, right? So when something new shows up, you have 2 choices. It either replaces one of your free active projects, you explicitly stop something so you can start the new thing, or it has to go into the future ideas for later. You don't just add it in and break your own limit. If you keep breaking it, then you won't have a system. You'll just have good intentions, and that doesn't really work, right? So to wrap it up, starting things feels like progress, but it actually is. Progress is finishing things and getting them out in the world where they can create value for your business. So you want to limit your work in progress to 3 projects and no more than that. You focus on finishing instead of starting new things. You stop spreading energy across a dozen half-done things, and that's how you actually ship. That's how you get real returns on your work, and that's how you build a business that finishes what it starts.